All right, so get ready because we're diving into some serious origin stories this time, how life itself actually began.
The ultimate origin story.
Yeah. And you've given us a ton to unpack here. Articles, research papers, really digging into those first sparks of life.
It's a big one.
It is a big one, and honestly kind of mind-blowing. I mean, we've all heard about the primordial soup, right? Like this idea that life just popped up from some warm little puddle of molecules.
Right, the classic image.
Exactly. But here's the thing, that soup needs a serious energy drink.
Mm.
Like, life needs a constant energy flow to even work. And that's where things get really interesting, this process called chemiosmosis.
And chemiosmosis might just lead us to some seriously intense volcanic vents way down on the ocean floor.
Okay, so maybe back up a bit. What is chemiosmosis and why is it so important?
It's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Every living thing, I'm talking everything from the tiniest bacteria to you and me, we all rely on chemiosmosis.
No way.
Yeah.
So it's like a universal rule of life then.
Basically, it's how cells make energy. They use a gradient, kind of like how a waterfall can power a turbine.
Oh, okay. I get that.
So we need a source for that energy gradient in the first place, right? That's where these incredible hydrothermal vents come in. They're called black smokers sometimes.
I've seen pictures. They look kind of terrifying.
They're amazing. They blast out this superheated alkaline fluid right into the ocean, which is more acidic instant proton gradient.
So that gradient is what kicks off chemiosmosis and gives power to those very first life forms.
Exactly. And it's not just the energy. These vents are packed with other goodies too. Methane, ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, all potential building blocks for those first organic molecules.
Okay, so we've got the energy, we've got the ingredients, but how do we go from there to something that's actually, you know, alive? Is this where the RNA world comes in?
The RNA world hypothesis, you
Yeah.
got it. This is where things get really wild.
Yeah.
The idea is that way before DNA or proteins were around, RNA was the real star of the show.
Wait, so instead of just being a messenger like it is in our cells, now RNA was doing double duty, holding the genetic code A and D, making those chemical reactions happen?
You got it. It's like the Swiss Army knife of molecules. That two-in-one function is crucial because in a world before proteins, something had to drive those first reactions for life to get going.
And there's actually evidence to suggest that RNA could really do all that.
Oh yeah, we're not just talking about a cool idea here.
Yeah.
Even today, RNA is a big deal in how our cells work. Think about messenger RNA, mRNA transfer, RNA, tRNA ribosomes. It's all essential for building proteins and running those genetic instructions.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Plus, scientists have found these things called ribozymes.
Ribozymes, what are those?
They're RNA molecules that can actually act as catalysts all on their own.
Wow, okay, so the RNA world is sounding more and more plausible here, but I'm guessing there are some holes in this theory, right? Scientists love to poke holes in things.
Oh, of course. That's how science works. And you're right. One of the biggest challenges with the RNA world is that RNA is, well, it's a bit delicate compared to DNA.
Delicate how?
It breaks down way easier, which makes it kind of a risky choice for storing something as important as genetic information over a long period of time. Specifically, it's this little thing called a hydroxyl group.
Yeah.
It's just an oxygen and hydrogen atom attached to RNA's backbone,
Yeah.
but it makes the whole molecule way more likely to fall apart.
Okay, I see fragile building blocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And think about it, trying to accurately copy something that's constantly falling apart is,
Yeah,
well, it's a nightmare.
not very efficient.
Exactly. Early replication with RNA would have been a mess. Tons of errors. It could derail the whole process before it even got started.
So how do we get past that?
Well, because of that, some scientists think there might have been something even more fundamental than RNA.
Something before RNA.
Exactly. A pre-RNA world, maybe.
Yeah.
Something simpler that could replicate and then eventually pave the way for RNA to take over.
Wow, a pre-RNA world. That's mind-blowing. But whether it was RNA or something even weirder at the very beginning, we still need to figure out how those basic building blocks of life came to be. Amino acids, nucleotides, the stuff that makes us us.
Absolutely, and that's what's so exciting. Scientists haven't just been theorizing about these building blocks. They've managed to make them in the lab.
Wait, hold on. We can make the building blocks of life from scratch. How is that even possible?
It all started with this really famous experiment, the Miller-Urey experiment back in the 1950s.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of that one.
They basically recreated what they thought were the conditions of early Earth.
So volcanoes and lightning storms and all that.
Exactly. Very different from what we have now. And incredibly, they managed to create amino acids.
That's incredible. But amino acids are just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
What about nucleotides? Those seem way more complicated.
And that's the breakthrough. Researchers have actually found a way to make nucleotides using some shockingly simple ingredients: cyanide, acetylene, and formaldehyde.
Those are the basic ingredients. Sounds more like a poison cocktail than the recipe for life.
Right. But here's the kicker. All of that bathed in UV light.
Okay, that is officially cool. But how do those simple ingredients magically assemble themselves into something as intricate as a nucleotide? There's got to be something else going on there.
There is, and it brings us right back to our favorite energy source, hydrothermal vents.
Of course. What is it about those vents?
They're full of phosphate, which turns out to be a key catalyst in speeding up these reactions.
So we're talking about recreating the environment of early Earth, a completely different atmosphere to understand how life could have gotten started. It's like a billion-year-old puzzle.
And speaking of puzzles, let's say we've got these building blocks floating around. How do they go from a jumbled mess to something as organized as a cell? It's like going from a pile of bricks to a skyscraper.
Yeah, that's a big jump. We need some serious construction work happening here. Is this where those protocells I keep hearing about come in?
You got it. Protocells might just be the missing link. Think of them like teeny tiny compartments, almost like microscopic bubbles with a membrane around them.
Okay, so like a soap bubble, but instead of soapy water, it's filled with these building blocks of life. But how do you even begin to make something that complex in a lab?
It's surprisingly straightforward, actually, which is kind of the beauty of it. Fatty acids, and think of those as simpler versions of the lipids that make up our cell membranes today. Well, they can spontaneously form those membranes when they're in water. It's like they just inherently want to organize themselves.
So these protocells weren't just static blobs, they were doing stuff.
Exactly. Scientists have done experiments and watched these protocells actually grow and divide. They respond to their environment.
No way. It's like they were already alive.
Right. Even at that basic stage, they're showing a key characteristic of life, interacting with and responding to the world around them.
This is incredible. It feels like we're so close to understanding how life itself began.
It's exciting stuff, but it's also pretty humbling. Because for everything we have discovered, there are still so many questions. We haven't answered mysteries that scientists are still trying to figure out.
Okay, spill the tea. What are the biggest mysteries that still have scientists stumped?
Well, one of the biggest ones is what came before RNA?
You mean something even older than the RNA world?
Exactly. Was there an even simpler molecule that could replicate something that came first and basically kicked off the whole RNA world?
It's like trying to figure out what came before the Big Bang and what else has got scientists scratching their heads.
Metabolism's a big one. Think about all the insanely complex reactions happening in our cells every second, breaking down food, making energy, building new molecules. How did that intricate web of chemistry ever get started? It's like imagining a symphony orchestra just suddenly forming and playing perfectly.
So we've gone from where did life begin to how did life learn to eat and make energy? That's a pretty big leap. And I guess it all comes back to where those very first sparks of life actually ignited. Are we still looking at those hydrothermal vents, or are there other contenders in the running?
That's a debate that's still going strong. Those vents are a super compelling option for sure. But some scientists are looking at other possibilities. Could life have emerged in shallow pools of water maybe, powered by the sun? Or even in the tiny spaces between mineral crystals deep underground?
Okay, so multiple origin stories still on the table. That's fascinating. And it makes me wonder if we could hit rewind on the entire history of life, go all the way back to those first chemical reactions. Would it all happen the same way again? Would we still end up with, well, us? Or are there countless paths to get to life as we know it?
Now, that is a question, is one that scientists and philosophers have been debating for centuries.
Right, because if we could rerun the whole experiment of life, maybe change the starting conditions just a little bit, would we still get something similar to life on Earth?
Or would it be something totally different? Would it use DNA and proteins like us? Or could life figure out a way to thrive with a completely different set of molecules? Would we even recognize it as life at all?
And that leads perfectly into the search for alien life, right? I mean, if we find life on another planet and it's totally unlike anything we've ever seen, wouldn't that prove that there are many paths to life? That it's not just some random fluke, but a fundamental consequence of how the universe works.
Exactly. And on the flip side, if we find alien life and it turns out to be strangely similar to life here, wouldn't that be even more mind-blowing?
It'd mean that our kind of life isn't just a lucky break. It's practically inevitable.
Precisely. No matter what we find, if we find life out there, it's going to completely change how we see ourselves and our place in the cosmos.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Those very first molecules coming together, somehow figuring out how to replicate and evolve over billions of years, leading to all the incredible life we see on Earth today, and maybe to life on other worlds, too.
It's an incredible story. And your collection of research really captures the wonder of it all.
And for you listening, this is really just the start of your own deep dive. We've explored the primordial soup, those amazing hydrothermal vents, the mind-bending RNA world, and even the incredible experiments that are bringing us closer to understanding life's beginnings. But there's still so much more to discover, so much more to question. Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to make the next big breakthrough in unraveling the story of life itself. So we've got these building blocks, but how do they go from just floating around to something as organized and complex as a cell? It's like expecting a skyscraper to assemble itself from a pile of bricks.
It's a huge jump, right?
Yeah.
From a jumbled mess of molecules to something that's structured and functional, that's one of the biggest questions in origin of life research.
So how do scientists even begin to tackle that question?
Well, one really promising avenue is the idea of protocells, these hypothetical precursors to the cells we know and love today.
Protocells. Okay, break that down for me. What are we picturing here?
Imagine something like a microscopic bubble, a tiny compartment enclosed by a simple membrane.
Okay, so kind of like a soap bubble, but instead of being filled with soapy water, it's got those building blocks of life trapped inside.
Exactly. But the amazing thing is that these membranes, these boundaries, they're not some complex invention. They can actually form spontaneously.
Spontaneously, like all on their own.
It's true. Certain molecules, specifically fatty acids, have this incredible property where if you put them in water, they just naturally arrange themselves into these membrane-like structures.
Wow, so it's like they have this built-in drive to self-organize, no outside help needed.
It seems that way, and that's what makes this whole protocell idea so compelling. It suggests that the very first steps towards cellular life might have been driven by these simple inherent properties of molecules.
Okay, so we've got these protocells forming, but there's still a far cry from even the simplest living cells today, right? What had to happen for them to make that leap?
Right, so we're not talking about fully fledged cells yet, more like the very earliest prototypes. But even these primitive protocells have some surprising tricks up their sleeves.
Like what? Can they actually do anything?
Well, for one thing, they're not just static blobs. Researchers have actually observed them growing and dividing in the lab.
No way, so they can actually replicate themselves.
In a way, yes. It's not as sophisticated as how modern cells divide, but it's a hint that even these early protocells had some capacity for self-replication.
That's wild. Are there any other hints that these protocells might be on the right track to becoming true living systems?
Yeah, scientists have found that these protocells aren't just blindly dividing. They actually respond to changes in their environment. For example, they might grow bigger or divide faster if there are more nutrients around.
So they're interacting with the world around them. That's a pretty big deal, right?
It is. It suggests that even at this incredibly early stage, these protocells were capable of some basic form of sensing and responding to their surroundings,
Yeah.
a hallmark of living systems.
This is incredible stuff. It feels like we're right on the edge of understanding one of the biggest mysteries in science, how life itself began.
It is incredibly exciting, but it's also humbling, because for all that we've learned about these early stages, there are still so many questions left unanswered, mysteries that continue to fascinate scientists today.
Okay, I have to ask, what are the big ones? What are the mysteries that still have scientists scratching their heads?
Well, one of the biggest head scratchers is actually a question of what came before RNA.
Okay, so something even more ancient than the RNA world.
Exactly. Was there some even simpler replicating molecule, something that predates RNA that really kicked off the whole thing? We just don't know yet.
It's like trying to imagine what came before the Big Bang. And on top of that, we still have to figure out how metabolism emerged. I mean, that whole intricate web of reactions happening inside every cell is mind-boggling.
Right. It's like a symphony orchestra where every single instrument knows exactly what to do and when, except we're talking about thousands of reactions all perfectly coordinated. How did that level of complexity ever get started?
So we've gone from where did life begin to how did life learn to eat and make energy? And on top of all that, we still haven't settled on where those very first sparks of life actually ignited. Are we still sticking with those hydrothermal vents, or are there other possibilities?
That's the thing about science. There are always more possibilities. Hydrothermal vents are definitely still a strong contender, but some researchers are exploring other environments too. Like, what if life got started in shallow pools of water instead, maybe powered by sunlight? Or even in those tiny spaces between mineral crystals deep underground.
Wow, so many origin stories still on the table. It makes you wonder if we could somehow hit rewind on the entire history of life, go back to those very first moments. Would it all play out the same way again? Would we still end up with
That is the question, isn't it? A question that scientists and philosophers have been wrestling with for ages.
Right. It's like if we could rerun the whole experiment of life, maybe tweak the starting conditions just a tiny bit, would we still get something that looks like life on Earth?
Or would it be something totally alien to us? Would it use DNA and proteins like we do? Or could life find a way to thrive with a completely different set of molecules? Would we even recognize it as life at all?
Now we're getting into some serious sci-fi territory. But it makes you think, if we do find life on another planet and it's completely different from anything we've ever imagined, wouldn't that be the ultimate proof that there are many paths to life? That it's not just a fluke, but something baked into the very fabric of the universe?
Absolutely. And on the flip side, if we find alien life and it turns out to be eerily similar to life here on Earth, wouldn't that be just as mind-blowing?
Totally. It would mean that our kind of life isn't just incredibly lucky, it's practically inevitable.
Exactly. Either way, finding life beyond Earth, whether it's familiar or totally bizarre, is going to completely transform how we understand our place in the universe.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? All those mind-boggling processes, all those lucky breaks, all those billions of years leading up to not just life, but the incredible diversity of life we see on Earth today. And maybe on other worlds, too. It's been an incredible journey exploring these ideas with you.
The mysteries of life's origins never get old, do they?
But,
And the research you dug up is truly fascinating.
and for everyone listening, this is really just the beginning of your own deep dive. We've explored the primordial soup, ventured into those incredible hydrothermal vents, wrapped our heads around the RNA world, and even peeked into the labs where scientists are trying to recreate life's first moments. But there's so much more to uncover, so many more questions to ask. Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to make the next big discovery in the quest to understand how life itself began.